It's hard to forget the horrific case of murdered Melbourne mother Maria Korp, known as the body in the boot. And now the story has another twist. The true crime tragedy has inspired an opera. Cheryl Hall went along to rehearsals.
We're going to do away with Marissa, and when we do, we'll be free to love more than words can say.
It's a story of love, betrayal and murder, and it's based on a notorious event in Melbourne's recent past. Maria Korp was partially strangled and left to die in the boot of her car, the victim of a plot allegedly by her husband and his lover, a woman he met through a swinging website.
This story, the true story, has some great ingredients for an opera. The love, sex, murder, greed. It's all there, all the big ones.
Written by Louis Nowra and Gordon Kerry, they maintain it's a fictionalised account, a story of genuine tragedy, love gone wrong.
Bring Ray back to me. Please listen to my prayer.
In this story, Louis Nowra and I both saw a classic operatic shape, which is not to trivialise the events on which it's loosely based by any means. But we felt that it was a love story that needed to be told in this way and could only be told operatically because music adds that extra dimension to the way we understand the emotions of the people who are involved. The events on which it's based obviously made headlines here in Melbourne particularly. There was a certain amount of salaciousness, there was of course violence, there was murder, betrayal. But it was very easy, I think, for the people involved to be caricatured.
The names have been changed and the characters, they say, are ordinary flawed people who were lured into doing extraordinary things.
I was fascinated by this story at the time. I had a sort of macabre interest in reading about what these, two horrendous characters did to an innocent mother. The key for me is to find integrity in the character.
Is this it? Is this it?
I suppose for my character, you can liken him to someone like Don Giovanni, who is very much a seducer of women, a manipulator.
Like the alleged events of 2005, the character called Ray convinces his lover to kill his wife.
Here's a knife to kill my wife. And you're making fun of me. On second thoughts, use the strap, put it round her throat.
It's been really tough emotionally to get into, and I struggled a lot with finding this character.
Director Nikki Wendt is an actor, and that's been her focus.
I'm asking opera singers to act. I am presenting this as much as possible as a drama. So it's not just stand centre stage and sing your aria. I'm trying to make human beings here. It is a kind of seduction, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So each time you ask the question, you will see it has an effect and you're getting closer and closer to the answer that you want.
How much do you love my heart? This for me.
For conductor Olivia Philippe Cuneo, it's a rare chance to stage a new work.
I approached it as a completely fresh work, and that's a huge challenge that nobody has actually heard these notes or sung or played until this point. Not even the composer, he's imagined them in his head. It's combining all the elements of drama into a really powerful and, in this case, haunting and tragic work.
There's something that cannot wait. We were going to separate.
But despite the change of names and interpretation of the story, there's still some nervousness about how it will be received.
We're actually handling it as sensitively as is humanly possible. Not just for the families involved, but actually for our audience. This is, whether it's a true story or not, it's a very confronting story.
I'm only nervous about how it will be received by people who don't actually see it. I've given them as beautiful music as I can at moments where they want to bare their soul, especially at moments of high tragedy. And I think that while we have to acknowledge the violence and we have to acknowledge the salacious elements, they're not a major part of the show at all. It's really all about this tremendous love that went horribly wrong and ended in great loss.
And the opera opens in Melbourne next week.